Star Wars is no stranger to criticism, especially the sequel trilogy, and today I figured I'd take a look at one of the more controversial moments in Star Wars history, as I continue my series looking at the stumbles and failures within Star Wars. I'm Zach from the Five Nights Tavern, and today we'll be taking a look at what went wrong with the Holdo maneuver. Let's get started. Before we jump right into the absurdity that is the Holdo maneuver, we should probably look into the events that led up to this so that we can better understand what happened. Don't worry, I'll be brief. I don't really feel like giving a complete TLDR on The Last Jedi, so here we go. The Resistance, having just barely escaped the First Order and suffering heavy fighter losses, finds itself face to face with an absurdly large Star Destroyer called the Supremacy. Words can't really even describe this thing. I mean, just look at it. We've gone so far past intimidating and ventured straight into hilarious territory, but I digress. So the Resistance fleet goes on to lead the slowest chase in cinema history, as their fleet is picked off one by one due to a lack of fuel. Yeah, it turns out that the First Order isn't really the Resistance's true enemy, it's unleaded gasoline. Or maybe they use diesel, who knows. Anyway, so Leia is knocked unconscious, so Vice Admiral Holdo is given command of the Resistance and decides that the best course of action is to lead the fleet to the planet of Crait, where they will then sneak onto the world using the shuttles and sacrifice their ships as a distraction. Okay, not a bad plan, except this moron doesn't tell anyone it. Like, not one other person aboard aside from maybe the unconscious Leia seems to know this important piece of information. And that, of course, leads to a full-on mutiny by Poe because he thinks that Holdo is just trying to get everyone killed. And honestly, who can blame him? Getting back on track, Poe's mutiny fails, he learns the plan, and surprise, surprise, he's on board with it because it is a solid plan. But of course, the First Order has figured out the ruse, and now the remaining Resistance members are being picked off, leaving Holdo helpless as she is the last person aboard the flagship, the Raddus. Thinking on her feet, she opts to turn her ship to face the Supremacy, firing up the hyperdrive, and just as all seems lost for the rebels, she sends her ship into hyperspace, splitting the Supremacy in two and shearing through several other Star Destroyers in her wake. The First Order fleet is in ruin, and the Resistance makes it to the planet. Now, to be completely fair, the actual spectacle of the maneuver was a sight to behold. I loved every single thing about this shot, except for its potential ramifications on the rest of Star Wars. Let's think about this for a second, shall we? If hyperspace ramming was a viable strategy this entire time, then how in the world has it not been used up until this point? Think about Yavin. Instead of sending pilots, they could have just sent a few dozen fighters piloted by droids to ram into the Death Star. Problem solved, no casualties. The plot holes start to right themselves in these situations. In fact, it was so bad that in The Rise of Skywalker, they explain it away as a 1 in a million trick. And then they immediately fucked that up by showing it being used over Endor. So which is it? Is it 1 in a million, or is it more viable? I'll tell you what it is. It's a plot hole. A really pretty, but poorly considered plot hole. The Last Jedi in general is a bit of a sore spot for me. I liked some of the ideas presented, yet hated many more. But what did you guys think? I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments down below. The attention that my little channel has been getting recently is amazing, and I cannot thank all of you enough for it. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and as always, cheers.